Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be working with the Simon Says Stamp November 2017 card kit, and here I'm going to give you a quick look at what was included. So jumping right into card number 1, I'm going to attach a stripe of this gray rose paper to the bottom of this pretty cream pattern. And then I'm going to run this through my Big Shot using my MFT Blueprints 32 frame die. The final size of that gray stripe measures just about a ½ inch. Here I've got some extra cream cardstock, and I'm going to be stamping this large floral kind stamp, and I'm going to heat emboss that. So because this is such a detailed stamp, I wanted to make sure that I hit my paper really well with my powder tool. I'm going to use some Versamark ink, and then I will go ahead and heat emboss that using some gold embossing powder. And here I'm trimming that down to 2.5 by 4.25. I've gone ahead and trimmed out another frame using that same die out of the alphabet paper that came in the kit, and I'm just going to lay that on top of the card front. Then here I'm going to use my ATG gun, and I'll just place my panel inside the frame. Next, I'll pop up that sentiment with some Scotch foam tape, and I'll place that on the front panel of my card. Next, I'm going to lay that frame upside down so I can mark where the popped up sentiment is. And then I'm going to use the Dairies foam strips to go around, and I'll just leave those sections open. That way it'll be even when I place it on the front of the card. Here I'm just placing that down, and then I will go ahead and add a little bit of multi-matte medium underneath the frame where it goes on top of the sentiment. For the inside of the card, I've chosen the sentiment, "Your kindness is appreciated," and I'm going to stamp that using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. And then I've added one of the stickers that came in the kit. And that completes card number 1. For card number 2, I'm going to use the interior panel of that frame that I cut out and used on the previous card. So I'm going to attach that on the center using my ATG gun. And then I've got one of the cut aparts that I trimmed out that says I've got your back. I'm gonna layer that onto a piece of the pink paper, and I left just about 1/4 of an inch to go around all 4 sides. I'll pop that up using some craft foam. Here is some ribbon I had from my stash, so I've trimmed a little piece of that off, and I'm going to use 1/2 inch score tape behind that, and this is going to stiffen the ribbon, and it'll also make it easier to trim out to the exact size that I need. I'll attach that just slightly below center. Then I'll go ahead and add the 2 busts. And then I'll again use my ATG gun to pop up that sentiment on the front. For the inside, I'm going to use the sentiment "Be courageous and kind," and I'll again stamp that using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. And that completes card number 2. For card number 3, I started out by trimming out some graphics vellum, and this measures just about 1.75 inches wide. I'm going to be using this Periwinkle and Gold's paper from my background. This was my favorite in the kit. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I wanted to go ahead and use this Pretty Script kindness stamp. So I'm going to use some Versamark ink, and I will stamp that on top of the vellum. And then I'll go ahead again and use my gold embossing powder and go ahead and heat set that. Now, I had already trimmed down this Periwinkle panel, but I decided I wanted to go ahead and use that Blueprints 32 die on it again. I just love the nice smooth edge that die gives. So here I'm just going to take my vellum and I'll fold that around so I have the right placing for where I'm going to put my score tape. I'll add some score tape on either end, peel off the backing, and then I'll just go ahead and again fold that vellum around each edge there. Here I'll use my ATG gun to attach that to the top of my card base. And I'll go ahead and place this birdcage sticker in the corner. I thought the colors on this bird matched the background paper perfectly. I did have to just trim off his tail. It hung over the edge a little bit there. And then I'm going to use this Happy Day sentiment, and I popped that up with just a small piece of foam tape. For the inside of the card, I'm going to use a Neenah panel trimmed to 4 by 5 1/4, and I went with the sentiment "You Have a Kind Heart." And I found in my stash this Simon Says Stamp Steel Blue hybrid ink, and it matches the colors on the front almost perfectly. So I went ahead and used that to stamp it. Finally, I'm going to finish that off with this pretty shiny gold heart sticker. I'll attach that on the inside with my ATG gun, and that will complete card number 3. For card number 4, I'm going to use my Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle dies. This larger daisy panel measures 5 by 3 3/4. And then I'm also going to use some Lavender Fields cardstock. This is from MFT, and the smaller rectangle measures 4.5 by 3 1/4. I really loved the cut-aparts that came in this set. I did go ahead when I first got it and cut all of them out individually, so it was a lot of fun to play with them. Here I'm going to take one of the tags that says "For You," and I'm just layering. This is actually a piece from the top where the pattern papers sort of pull apart. So I'm adding that along the bottom of that tag, and then I'm going to fold the end over this larger tag that has all of the daisies on it. Then here I'm going to go ahead and using my ATG gun, I'll attach that on that Lavender Fields panel. Then I'll also attach that daisy panel directly under the card base. And here I'm just going to trim down some craft foam. I'll place that behind the purple panel and then pop that on the center of the card base. For the inside of the card, I went with the sentiment, "Thank you for being so kind." I'm again stamping that with Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I really loved all the sentiments that came with this set. They're so versatile. You can really use this for so many different types of cards. So to add a little bit extra to the front of the card, I did pop up one of the stickers that came just using a Stampin' Up! Foam dot. And then I added a little bit of Spectrum Noir to that. I think it's supposed to be baby's breath in the back of the bouquet and along that darker purple stripe at the bottom of the sentiment on the front. And that will complete card number 4. For card number 5, I'm going to again use that Blueprints 32 frame die just to trim out this pretty blue, it's sort of a tile pattern background paper. And I pulled out several of the stickers. I've got some trees and a house, and then this very pretty "You Are My Home" wooden heart sticker. So I'm just going to lay these out kind of to make a scene. I am adding in just a 1/4 inch stripe of MFT's Night Shift Blue. I needed something to sort of ground my scene, and I thought that matched with the background paper really well. So because this is so thin, I'm going to go ahead and use some 1/8 inch score tape on the back of it, and that's going to give me a nice strong stick. The smaller tree I decided I wanted to pop up, so I'm using some Stampin' Up! Foam dots here. And I always keep the edging that comes around on the foam dots because it works really great for smaller spaces too. I decided to go ahead then and also pop up the heart sticker, and it says "You Are My Home." Here I'll attach that to the card base using my ATG gun. Then on the inside, I'm going to stamp "Kind of Adore You" a lot, which I think might be my favorite sentiment that came in this kit. And I'm again using my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink for that. And that will complete card number 5. completes our cards for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the second half of the 10 Cards 1 Kit. Additional photos as well as a full list of supplies can be found at my blog post listed in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.